person at a time. Around the globe,
he's asking, could you do the 22nd, Thursday the 22nd?
That would be much better.
For the future,
I could do that.
And who have a name.
That would be much better.
Know the person you're helping directly.
Because I'd be coming home right from the owners' meetings and did the 29th. Okay. Jody's off that week, so she March 22nd.
Duncan
I'd text him.
Yeah. Eric Asher next at noon on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
All right, Jeff. The Pelicans might not have to move to the Eastern Conference after all. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver over the weekend floating the idea, well, I'm sure he was asked about it, I'm sure he didn't just volunteer it, about possibly reseeding in the NBA playoffs. And we've heard the argument, especially here in New Orleans, because the Western Conference has been so good consistently and better than the Eastern Conference. And Jeff, you were just saying, no thank you, sir. No, none of that.
Well,
you want nothing.
I just think it's an overreaction to a cycle right now where the Western Conference is kind of dominant. But I think it'll revert, as it always seems to do. As these young players that are coming into the East, the dominant young players we see right now, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Markelle Fultz. That's a whole other story. But this draft coming up, as I've mentioned many times, loaded with young bigs. Who knows, in 5 years, the Eastern Conference might be dominant as we cycle out of this Western Conference cycle. So I'm not ready to do that. Let's just leave it the way it is. There were years when the Boston Celtics dominated and the Knicks and all those teams, the Pistons, the Bulls, and now it's the West. There's no reason to overreact. I don't like it, but I'm a traditionalist too. So I may be in the minority.
I'll just read what Adam Silver had to say. He says, I've said in the past, the obstacle is travel, and it's not tradition in my mind at least. It's that as we've added an extra week to the regular season, as we've tried to reduce the number of back-to-backs, that we are concerned about teams crisscrossing the country in the first round, for example. We're just concerned about the overall travel that we would have in the top 16 teams. So that's his big thing. But having said that, you also would like to have a format where your two best teams are ultimately going to meet in the finals. And obviously, if it's the top team in the East and the top team in the West, I'm not saying that this is the case this year, but you could have a situation where the top two teams in the league are meeting in the conference finals or somewhere else. So we're going to continue to look at that. It's still my hope that we're going to figure out ways. Maybe ultimately you have to add even more days to the season to spread it out a little bit more to deal with the travel. Maybe air travel will get better. All things we'll keep looking at. It sounds like if he wouldn't have to have, say, Sacramento makes the playoff or Golden State has to go take on Miami in a 1-16, right, he would do it. That's what it sounds like to me.
I don't like that. I like the tradition of East versus West, just like the American League versus National League. There's times when one of those leagues is going to have the two best teams in baseball, but no one overreacts to that. And the same thing with the NFL. I mean, are the two best teams always the AFC champion and NFC champion? I don't think so. So why are we overreacting to that? I think it's silly. I don't agree. And I like Adam Silver, but I think they're tinkering too much here.
So the two best teams in the Eastern Conference are who this year? Boston,
Toronto, and Cleveland, Boston, and Toronto. Those are three good teams. Three very good teams.
You don't think Houston and
I don't think the West is nearly as strong. I think after you get past the top two, it drops off considerably. I mean, right now, as much as I threw a shovel of dirt on the Pelicans season, the Pelicans are, what, how many games out of third seed are they?
Not much.
I think it's
maybe
like
a game.
Yeah.
Maybe two games.
It's
Maybe like
two
games.
No, it's more than that. It's 3-4 games. Yeah.
3 games or something.
San Antonio is 35-24. Minnesota is 36-25. Oklahoma City is 33-26. Denver is 32-26. As
the Pelicans are 3
Portland.
games out of the third spot.
3 games. That's my point. That's my point.
And they have a game in hand because they got to make up the.
They're a game out of the 5th spot.
Right. And third, but it's not as deep at the top as we thought. It's deeper in the middle, I think, by far. I think what we've got is 9 teams fighting for 6 spots.
Well, if you look at the standings in the Eastern Conference this year, actually Toronto's number 1 right now.
Right.
And you look at the 8th seed, the Miami Heat, they're 30-28. So it's not like they're that much different than the Western Conference. So this year probably isn't the best example to even float that idea out there because both conferences seem pretty even.
It's not, and I think that's the reason why, for Adam Silver to bring it up is still one of those things of him being forward-thinking, or one of the more forward-thinking commissioners in professional sports. But the biggest thing is that fans are talking about not seeing again for the fourth time possibly Golden State Cleveland. But at the same time, though, we've gotten 3 really good finals out of that.
And let's not forget this: just in the last few months, you've had Gordon Hayward, Rodney Hood, Larry Nance Jr., all these players go from the West to the East.
Yeah.
In trades, for whatever reason, Gordon Hayward went in free agency. The Eastern Conference is getting better. Cleveland's been bolstered by this windfall of talent that's come from the West.
Trade away half their team.
Right. So I don't know. I think it's silly.
Absolutely. Well, good conversation today. I didn't know Clyde and Jeff would be beating each other over college facilities at Louisiana Eunice or whatever, LSU Eunice.
LSU
build an arena, for Christ's sake. Build a basketball arena.
And guess what?